My toxic sister-in-law insulted me for years, so I kept her away from my wedding and shared her awful behavior publicly. I was diagnosed with severe ADHD when I was little and have dealt with that challenge my whole life. It wasn't always easy, and sometimes simple things felt really hard, but I learned ways to manage it. People have always made comments about my condition, but my brother's wife Marilyn took it to another level. My brother Doug married Marilyn about 6 years ago. He used to live across the country, but planned to move closer to us after getting married, which made me super happy to have my brother nearby again. I had missed him a lot, and the thought of him being just a short drive away was exciting, but my excitement didn't last. On literally their first day in town, Marilyn kept referring to me as the spaz. It felt like a punch in the gut every time she said it. I told her it made me uncomfortable and asked if she could just use my name instead. She apologized at the time, and I thought that would be the end of it. But not even a week later she did it again, maybe even more times that week. I got really annoyed and corrected her firmly, and she just shrugged it off, claiming it was just a joke, like I was being too sensitive. I told her it wasn't funny, and asked her not to do it again. After that, I started keeping my distance from her. I tried to avoid being in the same room if I could help it, but family get-togethers were unavoidable, and I couldn't always dodge her without making things awkward for everyone else. Once Doug organized for us to go mini golfing together. It sounded like fun at first, but halfway through, the noise, the bright colors, and the pressure of playing started making me feel really overwhelmed and overstimulated, like my brain was buzzing too fast. So I told my brother I needed to leave early, explaining I wasn't feeling well. As I walked away, I overheard Marilyn whisper to Doug, "Don't worry about it. It's not your fault the spaz can't handle normal activities." Hearing that, especially after I had just explained I wasn't feeling well, was absolutely crossing the line. It felt incredibly mean and targeted. I had never done anything to her, yet she seemed determined to mock me and make me feel small. I pulled Doug aside, my heart pounding, and told him his wife needed to stop picking on me because she was making me genuinely uncomfortable and upset. He just laughed it off, a casual, dismissive sound, saying Marilyn didn't mean what she said and was just joking around, like it was no big deal. I was shocked, truly stunned. My own brother, who had always had my back and understood my challenges, was now letting someone openly bully me right in front of him. I left immediately without another word, too hurt and angry to speak. Since then, I've avoided any interaction with them as much as possible. I gave up trying to correct her rude and entitled behavior because it clearly wasn't getting through to either of them. 2 years ago, I met Jesse. Long story short, he loves me exactly as I am, understands my ADHD, and treats me wonderfully, always with kindness and respect. He proposed, and we're now happily planning our wedding, looking forward to our future together. Last week, out of nowhere, Jesse received some really nasty, uncalled for messages from Marilyn on Instagram. She wrote, "I know you must have a thing for hyper girls. Congrats on finding one who can't sit still. I see you prefer someone who bounces off walls but is good at other things." Jesse and I were horrified and disgusted that anyone, especially family, would say something so cruel and inappropriate. It felt like a direct attack. He took screenshots right away and blocked her immediately. I called Doug to discuss this latest incident. I explained calmly but firmly that he needed to talk to Marilyn because his behavior was absolutely unacceptable and showed a complete lack of respect. But he completely dismissed my concerns again, just like before. He said his wife just has an edgy sense of humor and doesn't mean any harm, trying to brush it aside as if I was overreacting. I realized then, with a heavy heart, that neither my brother nor his wife actually cared about me or how their words affected me. It was heartbreaking to accept, but Jesse helped me move past it quickly, reminding me of my worth. A few days ago, we sent out our wedding invitations. Obviously, after everything, we didn't send one to Doug and Marilyn's house. They apparently couldn't understand why they weren't invited and got our parents to call me about it, asking why I would exclude my own brother. I clearly explained to our parents that I didn't want someone who constantly mocked my condition and made cruel jokes about me at my wedding, and that frankly, my brother had married a terrible person who enabled her behavior. Jesse told me he was incredibly proud of me for finally standing up for myself and setting a boundary. But Marilyn took offense at what I said to our parents and did something even worse. She posted several times on Instagram, publicly complaining about how I was excluding my brother from my wedding even though he'd supposedly supported me his whole life. She made up stories about the torture I had supposedly put her through over the years, twisting everything around. I was going to try and ignore her drama, but then I started getting messages from other family members and even people I barely knew, calling me a horrible person for excluding my brother. That's when Jesse and I decided we couldn't let Marilyn walk all over us again and spread lies. We needed to show everyone the truth of what she was really like. So I made a detailed post on my own social media explaining everything she had ever said and done to me, going back years, and attached screenshots of the awful messages she sent Jesse as proof. Ever since then, I've received apologies from everyone who was quick to judge me without knowing the full story, and people are now congratulating us on our upcoming wedding and supporting my decision. Weirdly enough, ever since I made that post, Marilyn has been completely silent online and hasn't contacted anyone.